you don't have a money problem. You have a discipline problem. Let that sink in, because if motivation was enough, you would already be rich, or at least financially stable. But you're not. And it's not because you don't try. You tell yourself, this month I'll save money. You feel fired up. You watch a few videos, maybe even make a budget for a few days. You're in control, then life happens. A sale pops up. Friends make a plan. You feel stressed. And suddenly, spending feels like relief. And just like that, your plan disappears. At the end of the month, you sit there thinking, where did all my money go? Be honest. How many times has this happened? You're not careless. You're not lazy. You just rely on motivation. And motivation is temporary. Here's what's really happening inside your brain. Motivation is emotional. It comes from excitement, fear, inspiration. Something that gives you a quick push. But emotions don't last. Your brain is wired to seek comfort. Not long-term success, but short-term pleasure. So when you're motivated, you feel strong. But the moment that feeling fades, your brain goes back to default. And default usually looks like this. Spend now, think later. Because saving money feels boring. Investing feels slow. But spending, it feels good instantly. That's why motivation fails you. It depends on how you feel. And your feelings change every single day. Think about it. The same person who says, I'll save money from tomorrow is the same person who orders food at midnight. Not because you're weak, but because motivation is unreliable. Now here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You don't need more motivation. You need discipline. And discipline is completely different. Motivation says, I feel like doing this. Discipline says, I do this no matter how I feel. That's the difference. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if there's a sale. It doesn't care if your friends are spending money. It follows rules, not emotions. And that's exactly why it works. Because money isn't about one big decision. It's about small decisions repeated every single day. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. Saving a small amount consistently beats saving a huge amount once and then quitting. Discipline builds consistency, and consistency builds wealth. Here's the pattern you've probably never noticed before. People think rich people are more motivated, but they're not. They're just more disciplined. They don't wake up every day feeling excited to save money. They don't always feel like saying no to unnecessary spending, but they do it anyway, because they've trained themselves to follow systems, not moods. That's the real secret. It's not about wanting it more, it's about sticking to it, even when you don't want it at all. Think about it. If your income increases but your discipline doesn't, you'll still end up broke. But if your discipline increases, even a small income can grow over time. That's the power of discipline. So how do you actually build it? Not by forcing yourself to be perfect, but by making small, realistic changes. Start simple. Instead of saying, I'll save a huge amount, say, I'll save a small fixed amount every week. Make it automatic if you can, because the less you think, the less you rely on motivation. Create rules for yourself like, I don't buy things on impulse, I wait 24 hours before spending, or I save first. Then spend. These rules remove decision. And when there's no decision, there's no emotional struggle. Another powerful shift. Stop trying to feel motivated. Instead, focus on becoming the type of person who is disciplined. Tell yourself, I am someone who controls my money. I don't need to feel like it. I just do it. At first, it will feel hard, uncomfortable even, but that's normal because you're breaking old habits and building new ones. Let me give you a simple real-life example. There are two friends, both earning the same amount. The first one waits to feel motivated. Some months he saves, some months he doesn't. He spends based on mood, and at the end of the year, nothing really changes. The second one is different. He doesn't rely on motivation. Every month, the moment he gets paid, he saves a fixed amount. No excuses, no delays. Even when he feels like spending, he sticks to his rule. At first, it feels restrictive, but after a few months, something changes. He stops overthinking money. He stops feeling guilty, and slowly, his savings start growing. 1 year later, the difference is clear. Not because one was smarter or earned more, but because one had discipline and the other didn't. Think about your own life. How many times have you waited to feel ready? How many times have you said, I'll start from next month? And how many times did that actually work? That's the trap. Waiting for motivation is just a fancy way of delaying action. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. But discipline starts immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. Because discipline doesn't need the perfect moment. It creates results through repetition. Here's something most people ignore. Discipline gives you freedom. It might feel restrictive in the beginning, but in the long run, it gives you control. When you're disciplined with money, you don't panic at the end of the month. You don't feel guilty after spending, and you don't depend on luck. You feel stable. And that feeling is powerful because financial peace is not about how much you earn. It's about how well you manage what you have. So the next time you say, I'm not motivated to save money, pause and ask yourself, do I really need motivation or do I need discipline? Because motivation will come and go. But discipline is something you build and it stays with you. At the end of the day, your future is not decided by your intentions. It's decided by your actions. And if this made you think even a little, make sure you subscribe because the next video might just change the way you see money forever.